Fishkin, California delegation. I reserve the right to yield the remainder of my time to the gentleman from Tennessee.
That is your right.
I would like to tell you a story about the West Memphis Three. These people, Damian Eccles, Jesse Miskelly, and Jason what? Jason Wright, something. Okay, these people were accused of brutally murdering and castrating 3 8-year-old boys in the city of West Memphis because of the ignorant and brutal misconduct of the police department in that city. And that is now they are on death row, and they've been on death row for 17 years. And there has been adamant evidence shown that these boys were not, they didn't commit this crime, and there's evidence showing that they didn't do it, and there's appeals, and there's no appeals because of the ignorance of the police department. I yield my time to Schofield from Tennessee.
You have yielded 1 minute.
Careful. Wade Schofield, Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, I am from Memphis, Tennessee. I am well versed in the case of the West Memphis Three from West Memphis, Arkansas. West Memphis, Arkansas is a very southern, religious, and highly prejudicial town. These three, the teenagers who have been on death row for 17 years, they dressed in dark clothes. They were, like the skateboard. They were really judged for being different. A lot of people in West Memphis claim that they were Satanists. There's no proof on that. Their conviction was highly prejudicial, and it's still an issue in Memphis today. And every time that the paper tries to cover it, people write in saying how, these boys were obviously, they were obviously out to kill people. They killed and molested the boys, even though there's overwhelming evidence to show that one of the boys' fathers, overwhelming DNA evidence in the past 10 years to show that the boys' fathers were the ones one of the boys' fathers was the ones who committed the crime. And however, this has not been overturned.
Your time is elapsed.
North Carolina neighbor, I reserve the right to yield the remainder of my time to Representative Taylor from Connecticut.
That is your right.
The authors yield to you.
Please display your placard.
The authors yield to a possible series of questions.
Will the authors yield?
Yes. What is the purpose of the appeals process?
To make sure that the verdict was correct.
Then does it not stand to reason that those given the death penalty are unquestionably guilty in the United States of America?
No, juries make
In the eyes of the law of the United States of America?
No.
What crimes do those given capital punishment typically commit?
Treason, murder, or other severe crimes.
Are you aware of the recidivism rate of those given the punishment of death?
I'm aware.
What is it?
78.
Of those given the punishment of death?
Oh, 0.
Thank you. I reserve the remainder of my time to Representative Taylor.
You have yielded 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Taylor from Connecticut, with author yield to a possible series of questions.
Will you yield?
Yes.
What is the cost of per year of keeping a convicted felon in prisons?
Per year, it's $90,000 less than keeping them on death row.
Would this cost trials and things of that?
I'm sorry.
Would this cost include trials and appeals?
Yes.
Also, the correct cost of lethal injection is $86, correct?
Yes.
And would you say it would be more financially beneficial to lower the amount of appeals sanctioned for the department than let a convict remain in prison, which we are taxed for?
I'm sorry. Can you speak clear?
Would you say it's more financially beneficial to lower the amount of appeals given to the department than let a convict remain in prison, for which we are taxed for?
No, because it violates their right to a fair trial.
And my last
I'm
question.
sorry, delegate. Your time has elapsed. The time for pro-con debate has now elapsed. We will now.
Thompson, Kentucky.
All right, one of the con speakers wanted one name, someone who was killed and later found innocent. Carlos DeLuca, just throwing that out there. Further, people said that, putting them in prison is not enough. But you know what? Death is the kind option. If you're sitting in prison for life, with what you did on your conscience, it's going to torment you. You're going to want to repent. You're going to feel bad about what you did. It's a violation of human rights. Not only has our United States Supreme Court ruled in 1972 that the death penalty is unconstitutional, so did the ICJ of the UN. In the case of Mexico versus the USA, the UN, the world, ruled that the death penalty is unconstitutional. Further, people argue that in the time of the Constitution, the death penalty was legal. But you know what? In the time of the Constitution, slavery was legal. Oppression of women were legal. We're moving on since then. We have to continue to rectify this. We have to be a progressive nation so we can pull ourselves away from the lesser developed nations of the world. If we want to stand up for human rights in countries like China, we have to do it ourselves. We have to stand up right now. Further, the cruelty just persists. In current states such as Idaho, Utah, and Alabama, firing squads are used to execute their prisoners. That is not right by any sense. You know what? These aren't just prisoners and people who are convicted. These are innocent people. 1 in 7 people sitting on death row are indeed innocent. We cannot go on killing them. People say that criminals forfeit their rights, but you know what? Is justice going to forfeit its humanity?
To keep going on addressing some of the cons, people said that because a murderer has taken another life, they deserve to die. We have a justice system, not a retribution system. We don't burn arsonists, we don't molest molesters, we don't rape rapists. We get justice. And it was also brought to my attention that the fact I used in my opening was actually reprinted in the news article, but it originally came from an Amnesty International report on the state of the United States capital punishment system. And someone brought up the case of Osama bin Laden. Actually, giving Osama bin Laden the death penalty would be the greatest gift, because the idea of Muslim holy war is to sacrifice yourself, is to give your life for the cause that make him a martyr. Also, the death penalty targets minorities. A report released by the Death Penalty Information Center said that the average cost of defending a capital case is $600,000, and that the more you spend on your defense, the less likely you are to get the death penalty. This strictly makes it more likely for the death penalty to be given to poor minorities instead of a rich white man. And some people brought up that people are being employed or new ways are being innovated to make the death penalty more humane. I just want to point out there is no humane way to take the life of another human. No humane way. You can't make that argument. And people also saying that, the death penalty we believed it was right at the time we framed the Constitution. We also believed the world was round at one point. Human thought advances as flat. You know what I mean. But as time advances, our knowledge and our understanding of the world gets greater. And talking about how the death penalty was stopped in 1972 and started later, homosexuality was also considered a mental disease in the 1970s. The court reverses its decisions and people change the way they think because humans...
I'm sorry, Delegate, your time has elapsed. Thank you. We will now move on to voting. The motion on the floor is that proposal number 393 pass. All those in favor, please in a normal tone of voice, rise and say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is division is heard and is recognized. Delegates, with a vote of 134 to 113, this proposal does pass. Thank you, authors. We're getting ready to go to our next proposal. Mr. Wolkamir.